Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees in today's session of the secrets of Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We are going to discuss Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 2, text number, I guess, 10 or maybe 11, I think. Yes, text number 11. So let us start. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashocyananvashocastvam Pratnyavadamsha Bhashase Gatasuna Nanu Shochanti Panditaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Purport. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. So, in the Vedic culture, whenever we have to do something, there is a particular way of doing that particular thing, and we may call it as sadachar or the behavior of cultured people. So here, Lord Shri Krishna accepted the role of a guru for Arjuna, and he is perfectly behaving how a guru should act towards his so-called learned disciple. And also because there is not enough time to discuss the issues at length, so Lord Shri Krishna, uh, uh, first of all, uh, chastises Arjuna, his disciple, in the these words that though you are speaking like a learned person, your words appear to be of great value. However, let me tell you that you are actually worried about something which should not be worried about at all. Uh, and as Prabhupada explains here, indirectly, indirectly, Lord Shri Krishna uh, condemned Arjuna's lamentation as uh, as that of a foolish person. So only a foolish person or an ignorant person would lament uh, for lament for temporary things. So uh, in the verse, Lord Shri Krishna mentions that those are really learned person or wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So what is the meaning of this statement? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that gata gata suna. If you see the verse, gata asuna gata sumsha. If you just break this word, then we will get gata asun and uh, agata asun. So those who have given up their asun means prana or life air. So those who have given up life air or those who have not given up their life air. So in simple words, Prabhupada puts it uh, that those who are living and those who are dead. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, however, gives a different, little different explanation. He says that let us read it out directly from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. uh, गता निसृता भवन्ति असवो येभ्यः तान् स्थूलदेहान् न शोचन्ति. So this giving up of life air happens to this gross body, the gross body which we all are having and which we all can see. So that is material gross bodies. Vishwanath Chakri Thakur actually explains it uh, in a different context. So a wise person does not lament for uh, gross body or subtle bodies. So gata asun. So for gata asun, it translated as stula deha, and for agata asun, it translated as uh, subtle bodies or sukshma deha. So how is that? We will see. गतासुन गता निसृता भवन्ति असो येभ्य तान् स्थूलदेहान् न शोचन्ति तेषां नश्वर भावत्वात् इति भावः. So regarding the gross bodies or sthula deha, so a learned man does not lament for the loss of gross bodies. Why? Because anyway they are temporary. Nashwar bhava, tesham nashwar bhavatvat iti bhava. So there is no point in lamenting for something which is anyway not going to be with us forever. So that's the argument. And next is agata asun. Anusita pranan. Sukshma dehan api na shochanti. So nisrita pranam. So those bodies who do not actually give up life here. So Vishwanath Chakri Thakur is talking about the gross body. Sorry, the subtle bodies, sukshma deha. So these sukshma deha or subtle bodies are made of mind, intelligence, and ego. And uh, when we so when soul give up this gross body, it it does not necessarily give up the subtle body. And to give up this subtle body, you do not have to give up life here because it is irrespective of life here. And that is why uh, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur takes this particular meaning that agatasun. So for sukshma deha, to give a sukshma deha, you don't have to give up the life here because it has got no connection with the life here. And uh, these subtle bodies, they continue their existence uh, up to the point of liberation. So a person who has not achieved liberation, he will have to uh, carry this sukshma deha or subtle body. So uh, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur interprets this particular gata asun and agata asun as gross bodies and subtle bodies. So a wise man does not lament for gross bodies or subtle bodies. So then why Arjuna is lamenting here? So being a learned person, Arjuna should not have lamented for either for gross body or for subtle bodies or sukshma dehas. Because even Arjuna thinks that he is supposed to kill his superiors. That actually means he is supposed to kill their gross bodies. So their subtle bodies are anyway going to be there. So that's also one argument. Another thing is that uh, a soul never actually dies. That we will see in the upcoming verses. Lord Shri Krishna um, explains to Arjuna that soul is soul is eternal and it continues his existence forever. So actually, there is no need to worry about it. We have to carry out our duties uh, as given in the in shastras, and there is another argument which Lord Shri Krishna offers here. एतैः सर्वे भीष्मादयः स्थूलसूक्ष्मदेह सहिता आत्मनः एव आत्मानां तु नित्यत्वात् तेषु शोकप्रवृत्तिरेव नास्ति इति अतस्त्वया यत् पूर्वम् अर्थशास्त्रात् धर्मशास्त्रं बलवत् इति उक्तं तत्र मया तु धर्मशास्त्रात् अपि ज्ञानशास्त्रं बलवत् इति उच्यते इति भावः. So the another argument is like this, that Arjuna preferred not to kill his superiors on the basis of this particular argument that Dharma Shastra to Balvat Artha Shastram it is Srutam. So, uh, so the statements from Dharma Shastras uh, are of higher value than the statements mentioned in Artha Shastra. So from the point of view of Artha Shastra, we may not see any sin to kill superiors or aggressors were challengers. However, from the point of view of Dharma Shastra, we should not kill anyone unnecessarily. And particularly here, Arjuna, being a saintly person, does not see any gain in terms of dharma. So he may get some victory or some opulent kingdom by killing his superiors. However, he was not after any such a material gain. So he was only interested in uh, dharma. So in terms of dharma, Arjuna is not able to see any gain. So that is why he is saying that dharma shastra should be given more priority than artha shastra, and that argument is perfect as far as the comparison between dharma shastra and artha shastra is concerned. However, Lord Shri Krishna makes a higher argument on this. So Lord Shri Krishna, he says that uh, why do you stop here? If you say that the dharma shastra is higher than artha shastra, then what about jnana shastra? The jnana shastra is even higher than dharma shastra. So the Jnana Shastra basically it deals with the science of soul. So this Atma and Anatma Vivek, the discrimination between Atma and Anatma falls in the category of Jnana Shastra. So Jnana Shastra is higher than Dharma Shastra. And considering the statements of Jnana Shastra, you should not be worried about uh, the loss of some gross bodies, uh, though this gross body belong to your superiors. So that is the argument Lord Shri Krishna offers here, and we will say uh, in upcoming verses, Lord Shri Krishna would try to make Arjuna understand that how uh, he actually deviated from the true knowledge of soul, though he had uh, emotional bond with his superiors, and it is natural for Arjuna to think like that why should I kill my superiors. However, here the situation is very grave, and Arjuna is supposed to set a good example for the society. Uh, so, considering all these things, Arjuna should be uh, acting on the highest platform of knowledge. So, there is no doubt that Arjun's arguments were actually in support of knowledge, but the fault with his arguments was that it pertained to only Dharma Shastra. If we compare the arguments of Dharma Shastra with Jnana Shastra, then all his arguments actually do not stand stronger. So that's the gist of this the whole second chapter. Uh, and Lord Shri Krishna would uh, try to put many examples before Arjuna to understand these uh, science of soul, which Arjuna already knows it. But however, um, due to overpowered by uh, some emotions or attachment to his relatives and his superiors, Arjuna is not able to uh, act on that platform of soul. So it's not that Arjuna is not aware of the science of soul. Let us be clear about that. But he is not able to act on that platform. So this situation also appears in our practical life, where we find ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation, where we do know what our duty is, but still somehow we are not able to act on it. So at that moment, we need a guru, we need a spiritual master who can correct us and remind us that we are not supposed to act on such a uh, lower platform of knowledge. So sometimes we give too much importance to ordinary dharmas. So that is also a weakness. Uh, Nowadays, people do not uh, know anything about dharma. That's a different thing. But in principle, in a Vedic culture, there are instances where uh, even cultured people, they give too much importance to ordinary dharmas, and somehow that they forget the science of soul. So every person uh, who has been raised in a Vedic culture is supposed to follow dharma, and that dharma should actually lead us to the science of soul, or the science of God. So that should be the ultimate uh, destination of following dharma. However, it may happen that even by following dharma, we may not get that, or we may not be able to act on the platform of soul because of our own anarthas, because of our own attachments. So, dharma, if performed with detachment, lead us to uh, science of God. But if the same dharma, if followed uh, with attachments, it actually binds us more and more into this material world. So we may get elevated to higher planetary systems, Swarga and other planets, but we may not attain liberation. So we may have to just carry on our existence in this material world if we simply act on the platform of dharma with material attachments. So dharma does help us to elevate ourselves to attain the highest platform of knowledge, provided we act on the platform of dharma without any attachment. So that is why uh, the first letter of yoga is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkama Karma Yoga means to perform the karmas of or any shastrokta karma given to us without any attachment to it. So without having the element of detachment, it is the dharma is not going to purify us uh, to the point that we uh, lead a spiritual life. So we may live a religious life or a dharmic life, but to lead a spiritual life, we must cultivate detachment or vairagya. So it is accepted that immediately we will not have that detachment to the fullest extent. And that is why uh, the practice of detachment has been ingrained in various aspects of dharma. So, for example, if we consider Sri Dharma, so or Dharma of a woman, she has to sacrifice so many things. So, first of all, she has to give up uh, her own family, then she has to go to husband family to serve him, and she has to tolerate uh, so many difficulties in following her dharma, and she has to always accept her humble position. So uh, there are many challenges in following uh, Sri Dharma. She has to cook in summer, so she can't give an excuse that uh, I don't have, uh, I don't like to cook in summer. So, and particularly when a woman has kids, then she has no choice. So, similarly, in all other dharmas, there is an element of detachment, uh, or we can say an element of sacrifice. So, everyone has to uh, do sacrifice. Uh, Everyone has to give some danam. So, uh, whatever we possess, we have to give some portion to for some good cause. So, all these things actually help us if we are not attached to uh, the results of those activities. For example, if we perform Stri Dharma or Brahman Dharma or Kshatriya Dharma or any Dharma with the attachment that this should give me some material name, fame, gain, some punyas, so that I can get a better facilities to enjoy life in this material world, then this Dharma is not going to help us to attain our spiritual goals, because spiritual life is actually real life that actually gives us real freedom. So nowadays we are uh, talking about free life or freedom, but we should also understand what that freedom actually means. Actually, freedom is to really act on the platform of soul, because that's what we are. If you are acting on the platform of ignorant people or acting like animals, then that's not actually freedom. So how do we define freedom? Uh, if we analyze an animal, can we say that he's free to act? Do we think that all animals are actually enjoying freedom? So they may not have some rules and regulations as we have in our human society, but they are actually not enjoying freedom. They are always in anxiety. They may have some better facilities than human beings in terms of education and marriage and all these things, because they don't have to make a big endeavor to have all these things. However, in spite of such so-called facilities, they do not actually have freedom. They are still uh, having the conditioning of an animal, and whole day they can't think beyond eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And the outcome of such mentality is that they are always in fear, because that's a sign of a conditioned life. So whoever is in the consciousness of me and my body, or things related to my body, so that person can actually never enjoy freedom, because he's always calculating in terms of material body, which he's not. So if we identify ourselves as something which we are actually not, then what kind of freedom is that? For example, in a simple words, if you understand, we try to understand it. If someone is a uh, uh, minister, let's say IAS officer or something, and if he carries that identity at home, so will that particular identity help him to enjoy family life? Absolutely not, because that's what uh, uh, that's where he is actually wrong. So he may has some aspect of that identity that he is an officer or a government representative, but he can't just carry that identity all the time. At home, he is not a minister. He is not an officer. So it's a very crude example, um, but just to help us understand, we can compare that this analogy with our own situation. That if we carry the identity of a body, that we are this body all the time, then how actually we are going to enjoy the bliss of being the soul? So it's not just possible. So it's not that we have to always maintain this identity of uh, having this material body. So actually, we are not this material body, and whenever we think on in those terms, we are actually increasing our material consciousness, our false identity more and more. So that should be given up, and that's the aim of following dharma. And that's why Lord Shri Krishna urges Arjuna to give more importance to Jnana Shastram. So if we follow the tenets of Jnana, then the we will be able to understand the purpose behind following all these uh, individual dharma. So Arjuna is calculating only in terms of his Kshatriya dharma, or maybe as a saintly person is trying to avoid war and he's very much worried about his relatives' well-being. But well-being in terms of what? Well-being in terms of their material bodies or their material desires. So Arjuna is not actually calculating the well-being of his relatives or his superiors in terms of soul. So that's the argument Lord Shri Krishna offers here. Next, the Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." So, for ordinary people, Srila Prabhupada has put in a very simple words uh, that those who are living or those who are dead, a wise person does not really lament for such situations. If you see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation, that's little technical. He, uh, he explains this particular Gata Asun and Agata Asun as Sthula Deha and Sukshma Deha, cross body and subtle body. So a wise man does not really uh, lament for the loss of either gross bodies or uh, subtle bodies, Sukshma Deha. As explained in later chapter, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the control of both. So that's the sign of knowledge. So when Lord Shri Krishna says that Jnana Shastram is above even Dharma Shastra. So what that Jnana Shastra includes? So that has been explained here. So Jnana Shastram includes the knowledge about matter, spirit, and the control of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formalities. sorry, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As it did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we um, in the incident of Kamsa trying to kill the first son of Vasudeva, we see that Vasudeva, who was is the father of Lord Shri Krishna, so he uh, argues with Kamsa that uh, being a learned person, Kamsa should not be actually worried about death. So, though we know Kamsa as a cruel person or as a demon, but he was actually a learned person. So, Vasudeva, he reminds Kamsa that death is inevitable. Atyava abdashtanteva mrityurvai praninam dhruvaha. So, death may happen now or maybe after 100 years, but still, mrityurvai praninam dhruvaha. Death is inevitable for uh, living beings. So, there is no need for lamentation regarding death, or there is no even fear. There should not be any fear of death. So he was trying to convince Kamsa that one day or another we all have to die. So uh, Kamsa, being a learned person, should not be worried about his death, and actually he should be worried about his fame as a learned person or as a great warrior. So Kirtir Yasya Sajivati. So one whose fame uh, is spread all over the world, he is the one actually who lives forever. So so long there is fame, a person lives, even though his material body may not exist. So Kansa was advised by Vasudeva to to be worried about his fame as a great warrior and a learned person. So that's the uh, fundamental teachings of Sanatan Dharma, that everyone should be worried about uh, ourselves, spirit, soul, not about this temporary gain. Of course, Kamsa also knew the science of soul, but because he was attached to his name and fame, so Vasudeva took the advantage of his attachment, and that's why offer that particular argument that you should be worried about your kirti. Such a great warrior, if he kills Devaki, a woman, and who happens to be your sister, and the whole situation is also not favorable. She hasn't committed any crime, and on her wedding occasion, if you kill your sister, that would be a cowardliness. You will be defamed for your actions. So that's a different situation. But here, Arjuna is a saintly person, and that's why it is expected that you should not be even worried about some ordinary name and fame. You should be really worried about soul. Next, the body is born and destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So, there is a Jnana Shastram where uh, we understand that we have some duties in this material world as long as we are carrying this material bodies. However, we should also understand that these duties should not uh, uh, deviate us from the science of soul. So from the or from this dharma, the following of dharma should not deviate us from the uh, true knowledge of self, true knowledge of soul. So Arjuna uh, here gets reminded by Lord Shri Krishna that you are talking about learned person, but actually you are talking only up to the uh, point of dharma or dharma shastra. You are ignoring the statements of jnana shastra. So why should we worried about the loss of uh, gross bodies of the warriors here? So anyway, they will be elevated to higher planets, and the soul is going to continue its existence. So, considering the Jnana Shastra, he should simply carry out his duty as a Kshatriya. And if he is really worried about the well being of his relatives, then he should really uh, act in knowledge. So, and set a good example for the society that Arjuna, uh, he was not attached to the gross bodies of his relatives, but actually he was interesting in their real well-being. So that's the message of this particular verse. So I will end here. Time is up. I'm sorry, actually, I should really keep my eyes on time. Somehow that I tend to forget. Extremely sorry for that. I'll try to improve. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता यज्ञ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।